Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Sunday, September 9th, 2018 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is, it is my responsibility to come from the energy of wholeness. And today we have a new moon in Virgo, kind of fiery or volcanic new moon. We'll get into that as per the Sabian symbol. We also have Venus shifting into Scorpio, and I do think this is going to be very pertinent for all of us in regards to our wholeness and bringing it forward as part of our integration of the yin and the yang energies, as part of our healing integration that's going on, and part of the yin infiltration that has been going on and will continue to be ongoingly, making up words, going on. But let's start with this new moon energy. The new moon happens at 11:01 a.m. Pacific time. The new moon is in Virgo. It is at 17 degrees Virgo, right there, right as it enters into 17 degrees. Let's break down the number really quick. 17, that adds up to an 8. So 8 energy is about our connection to the divine. It does have an energy of the infinite. So this is definitely a very powerful new moon. It also speaks of responsibility, hence the energy mantra. 8 to me is about tuning into our divine responsibility, feeding into that energy and bringing it here. And in order to do that, we do have to be in touch with the wholeness of ourselves. Unless we have our yin and yang somewhat integrated, we are not going to be so much on the path of fulfilling our soul purpose energy. So today is about pushing us in that direction. And I do want to dig into same symbol. I first want to go a little bit deeper into the numerology though. 1 and 7. 1 energy connects to the heart, and 1 also connects us to the pioneer. So it's the place within us that's willing to jump, even if there's not a path there, because our heart, because our soul says yes. So there's the 1 energy. And then 7. 7 is about connecting to spirit. So again, we have that spirit connection going on. And it's like listening to our intuition and listening to our higher guidance, whether from our higher self or spirit or our guides, and listening to that in order to help us take that responsibility and move forward. But the Sabian symbol is interesting, and I'm actually going to dig in and read it a little bit more. The Sabian symbol for Virgo, 17 degrees, is a volcanic eruption, which I've been talking about. The explosive energy of long repressed contents of the subconscious. We are dealing here with the dramatic release of energies which have been kept in check by the outer shell of the ego-controlled consciousness. It may be a spectacular catharsis, but it often takes paths of destruction. Yet, unless some form of purification by fire is experienced, the inner pressure of the karmic past or of more recent frustrations would shake up perhaps even more destructively the very foundations of personality. It goes on to talk a little bit more. Is this important? I think it's important. At this second stage, the objective confrontation with an image of the karmic past is replaced by a subjective interruption of repressed memories and primitive cravings. That definitely ties into this Venus in Scorpio energy. Primitive cravings. Everything must be released from the psyche, seeking to attain the transfigured state. The soul must become empty, and I wouldn't necessarily use the word empty. The soul must become what I would say purified, and I think the soul is pure. I would say the walls around the soul must become purified so we can reach its pure light, its pure energy, and utilize it. And the mind translucent. The key word for this new moon is explosion. So I've been talking about that a little bit in and through this week. But it's just important to realize, and like I said, Virgo energy is healing, and part of healing is feeling. Healing is not always, look at me, I've got it all together. Healing is often, in part, a small part, throwing yourself on the floor and crying out, raging out, feeling out what has been stored within you. The deep, deep things that have been pushed aside. And then we get up. and we find our balance, and we find the light. Where's the good? Where's the light? Where's the lesson? We continue onward from that place. But there is a time when these emotions, the feelings, the pains, the hurts, the things pushed aside must be dealt with. And if they are not dealt with consciously, Spirit will always find a way to trigger us or to bring it up subconsciously. So in this energy, as part of your new moon ceremony, purification ritual, whether through crying or writing stuff out and burning it in a fire, would be so powerful to release, and then set intentions for how you would like to move forward in your physical body, in this physical existence, in order to bring forward your best self, in order to bring forward your soul energy, which is the highest energy of service. Now, a big part of this is that so much of how we've been doing on this earth has been in this yang energy. And this is part of this yin inflection in our life, coming in, asking us to feel these things, but coming in and also bringing with it emotional tides that need to be experienced, which I think we're going to get into a little bit with this Venus and Scorpio thing. Be willing to feel, make purification part of this process. But I do want to say, and this is part of this. This new moon is so powerful, especially if you can get clear, because this new moon, the last connection before the new moon happens is the moon opposite Neptune. And so we have Neptune in Pisces realigning and attuning us with the potential of miracles. It also, though, aligns us up with old karmic energies. So you may have miracles of healing around these old karmic energies, especially if you do feel yourself willing to be with them, sit with them, and process from that place, and then allow Spirit to just kind of move these emotions, these energies through you. So just be aware of that, and I think if anything, spend a little time in silence, feeling through, is there anything up for me to process, to burn through, to be volcanic about in this moment, so that I can move to my next personal level. One of the things, though, that I do think is going to be coming up, and I think this is going to be beyond this moon, is Venus in Scorpio. Now, I have my Venus in Scorpio, and I have to say, not everybody loves the Scorpio energy. I would say my energies in Scorpio are some of my favorite in my chart, but I say that about a lot of different parts of my chart. I do love the Scorpio energy. We have to remember that Scorpio energy at its highest and best is about empowerment. It is passionate. It craves intimacy. It's transformational. It is the Phoenix energy. But sometimes those transformations are hard. And sometimes anybody in this world, because we all have Scorpio in our chart somewhere, sometimes we go to that place of that Scorpio lashing out from that hurt energy. That is something to be vigilant about with Venus in Scorpio, because I think the suppressed yin may be part of this volcanic action that's going on. Clearly in the world right now, we are seeing a surge of what has been, what has happened, disrespect of sexual energy, disrespect of the yin, but it's really not just the feminine who's been disrespected, disrespect of this energy, of person-to-person boundaries and energy coming to light in many different forms of abuse. There has been a lot of abuse perpetrated outside of us. And yet, part of this work, part of the work of Scorpio is being aware of the shadows. And so part of the work is also noticing where we have been perpetrating this abuse to ourselves, where we perpetuate the abuse to the sexual energy, where we do not recognize its holiness and its divinity in and through us. And so one example that I really like to give is the fact that so many swear words that are out there are actually sexually oriented in some way or another. Even some of the more basic ones are. And we use these as forms of disrespect in a lot of times. So that's just one way that we are disrespecting the holiest energy that there is, the sexual energy, which is like the creation energy of the universe. With Venus in Scorpio, this is a time to recognize it within ourselves. So for the feminine, this is about recognizing the power within your womb energy, that sacred place. It is darkness, but it is also divine creation that happens there. Recognize the power. Come to a place of intimacy within yourself by connecting to that place of power. For the masculine energy, it is the hara, but it still has, I'm not as familiar with that, but it still has a place of power for you, a place of power and connection. It's time to start honoring these places within us. However you do that, there's so many different ways to do that, but even just recognizing it is a start in this direction. Recognizing the intimacy that we often crave outside of ourselves is also intimacy craved within ourselves. Intimacy with these sacred places within ourselves. So, Venus in Scorpio, it's time to get intimate within ourselves. Now, this also may be a time where we are craving that that passion, connection, intimacy with others. However, Venus is going to be going retrograde, and Venus is already in her shadow. Venus is going to be going retrograde October 5th, so about a month, a little bit over or under a month out from now. She's only reaching 10 degrees in Scorpio, so she's moving very slowly. So these lessons, these first 10 degrees, very important. And like I said, intimacy, it starts by you seeing into yourself. And again, it's going to be becoming aware, not just about abuse perpetrated by others, but any abuse that you've perpetrated on yourself, even by shutting down these energies, shutting down your sexual energy, hiding that energy, misusing it, misappropriating it. There's so many different ways, and could go on forever about it. But this is, again, part of the healing that I think is coming with this new moon energy. So this is a very powerful connection. Now we have to be aware that with Venus in Scorpio, the yin may get a little feisty. The yin may be ready to react. And I do think that this is, in part, again, that suppression. So this is a good time to become intimate with your personal yin. Become aware of it. Take the time that you need to recognize that sacred place within you, that sacred holiness, that sacred space of nothingness, which is a creation of everythingness. And that will be very, very powerful for this. You may find a lot of interesting sexual energy going on. I think especially because Mars is also preparing to move into Aquarius, which definitely can, that's some interesting energy, because Venus is here in Scorpio, Mars is squaring that in Aquarius energy, so there's still going to be kind of this resistance going on, combustion energy going on, the fireworks, the volcano energy, and yet we need to definitely tune in here. Last couple things I want to mention. Venus, after shifting into Scorpio, is in conjunct Chiron. Chiron at 0 degrees in Aries. Chiron reminding us of soul healing energy. To heal the yin, to be intimate with ourselves, is one of the most soul healing things that we can do. We may have that urge to take off, to act, that Aries energy, but the most important thing that we can do right now for ourselves is be still and listen intimately within ourselves. God, this is going so long. I didn't mean this for me. Just looked, it's like 14 minutes. Jeez, I talk a lot. Okay, let's finish up. Last things of the day is the moon connecting to both Jupiter and Pluto. To me, these energies, Jupiter in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto rules Scorpio, it continues the transformation work. Be vigilant through the day of your reactions. Be vigilant through the day of your shadows, and be vigilant of how you suppress yourself. One of the major cards, the control card. This is one of the major ways we suppress ourselves. We control ourselves. We're like, oh, I can't do that. We are not understanding of our needs. Even our sexual energy. be understanding of it. It doesn't mean that you act on it or that it's appropriate, but if you stand there and be with it, you can shift from that place. So much. Oh, be vigilant of the mind. This is one of the things too. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Pallas, all hanging out in Virgo energy. The mind is very active. Mind may have a lot to say about your so-called intimacy, but the mind needs to drop in and reconnect to the places long forgotten within you. It is healing time. All right, I want to finish with these two last cards. I pulled two cards from the Keepers of the Light. Diana, focused intention. That really works with the new moon energy, with setting your intentions for manifestation. Think about what you desire, set your sights high, expect the best possible outcome. But also came Kali, which is very appropriate for Venus and Scorpio. Kali Ma, facing fear. Major spiritual changes are unfolding. This is your chance to soar. Be willing to face your fears. Be willing to face your shadows. There is much light in there, I promise. So that is it. You can always book a reading, GaiaBlooming.com, or email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. I'm happy to set up readings with you. The better it gets, the better it gets. And there is enough love in the world for you. Namaste.